If you've been a Digimon fan for any length of time, you know the debate. It's the one that divides the fandom, the one that always comes back to one season, Digimon Frontier. The common criticism is simple: no partners, no Digimon. But I think that criticism misses the point. The Frontier controversy isn't just about a change in mechanics, it's about a philosophical crisis at the heart of the entire franchise. The real question isn't should the kids transform, the real question is, what is the true source of power in the digital world? Is it the bond between a human and their partner, or is it the human spirit itself? Every season of Digimon is an attempt to answer that question, but Frontier was the one that dared to give the most radical answer. Today, we're going to reframe the Frontier debate, not as a failure of a season, but as a crucial experiment in the philosophy of the human-partner dynamic. For most of us, the answer was settled by Adventure and Tamers. The power comes from the bond. In Adventure, Digivolution is a direct emotional transaction. Tai's courage, Matt's friendship, Sora's love, these emotional crests don't just make Agumon stronger, they allow him to become stronger. The human's emotional growth is the key that unlocks the partner's power. This dynamic is brilliant because it creates mutual dependence. The human needs the Digimon for protection, and the Digimon needs the human for power and emotional guidance. This mutual need is what gives the show its incredible emotional weight. Tamers took this even further with the Biomerge Digivolution. The human and Digimon literally merge, becoming one being. This isn't just a power-up, it's the ultimate expression of their bond. It proves that the human is not just a tamer, but an equal participant in the fight. The power is 50-50, and the stakes are existential. This is the gold standard for the partner dynamic. But this bond model, this 50-50 partnership, came with a massive cost. And that cost is what gave the earlier seasons their incredible emotional weight. The power of the bond meant the pain of the bond was just as real. When a Digimon was hurt, the human felt it. When a partner died, and let's be honest, Digimon was never afraid to kill off a partner, the loss was devastating. The human was left powerless, heartbroken, and forced to confront their grief. The separation at the end of every season was a genuine, tearful moment because the bond was a real, tangible thing. This vulnerability is what made the power feel earned. The Digidestined risked their emotional well-being every time they fought. They weren't just risking a tool, they were risking a friend. And that, my friends, is the emotional currency that Frontier chose to completely cash out. Then came Frontier, and the franchise essentially said, what if we cut out the middleman? The kids don't have partners. They transform directly into the legendary warrior Digimon using the spirits of the ancient warriors. The power source is no longer the external bond. It's the internal spirit of the human. The immediate fan reaction was that this destroyed the core concept, and from a narrative standpoint, it created two massive problems. First, it devalued the Digimon. The legendary warriors were essentially tools, spirits that could be swapped out or stolen. They didn't have personalities, they didn't have emotional arcs, and they didn't die tragically. They were just power-ups. Second, it devalued the human's growth. In Adventure, Tai had to overcome his fear and learn courage before Agumon could evolve. In Frontier, the kids often just needed to find the spirit. The power felt less earned, and the progression became more about collecting trinkets than overcoming personal trauma. The power was 100% human-centric, and the story suffered because of it. So why did Frontier make this radical shift? The answer lies in the Japanese market and the influence of tokusatsu, the genre of live-action special effects shows like Kamen Rider and Super Sentai. Frontier was a deliberate attempt to tap into that highly successful market. The core mechanic of a human transforming into a monster hero is pure tokusatsu. It's a powerful visual and it sells toys. Bandai wanted to sell action figures of the kids themselves, not just their partners. But this design choice created an inherent inherent philosophical clash. Tokusatsu heroes are self-sufficient. Their power is internal, often derived from a piece of technology or a magical item. Digimon's power, however, was always meant to be relational. It was about the other, the partner, the bond. By prioritizing the Toku-Hero aesthetic and the commercial appeal of the human transformation, Frontier fundamentally undermined the relational core that made the franchise unique in the first place. But here is where we reframe the debate. Frontier wasn't a failure because of its concept, it was a failure because of its execution. The concept, that the human spirit is powerful enough to become a Digimon, is actually a brilliant philosophical extension of the franchise. It's the ultimate payoff to the idea that the human and Digimon are two halves of a whole. The problem was that the show failed to explore the human side of the transformation. It was a character drama without the character. The kids were supposed to be dealing with their own internal struggles, their spirits, but the show rarely dug deep enough. And the biggest execution failure? The power imbalance. Once Takuya and Koji got their stronger forms, the other kids became completely irrelevant. This is the opposite of the adventure model, where every partner, even Patamon and Gatomon, had a crucial, unique role to play. Frontier replaced the bond with a hierarchy, and that's what truly broke the dynamic. The lasting impact of the Frontier experiment is that the franchise learned a valuable lesson. Since then, we've seen a clear effort to synthesize the two philosophies. In seasons like Data Squad or Savers, the human characters are given back their physical agency. Marcus Damon literally punches Digimon. The human is no longer just a cheerleader. They are an active, physical participant in the fight. But crucially, they still have a partner. The power is still relational, but the human is no longer passive. It's a new model. The human as the physical force, the Digimon as the ultimate power. The human spirit and physical strength are channeled through the partner, not instead of the partner. This post-Frontier synthesis proves that the franchise recognized the core mistake. The problem wasn't giving the human power, the problem was removing the partner and the emotional stakes that came with them. So, where does this leave us? The human-partner dynamic in Digimon exists on a philosophical spectrum. On one end, you have Adventure, where the human is the emotional catalyst and the Digimon is the physical manifestation of that emotion. The power is in the bond. On the other end, you have Frontier, where the human is the power source and the Digimon is the vessel. The power is in the spirit. And the reason the fandom overwhelmingly prefers the bond model is simple. It creates better drama. The threat of losing your partner, the joy of their growth, the necessity of mutual sacrifice, these are the elements that give Digimon its emotional punch. Frontier was a necessary experiment. It proved that while the human spirit is the core of the Digidestined, the partner is the essential narrative device that allows us to explore that spirit in a meaningful, high-stakes way. The love for Digimon is rooted in that shared journey. It's not just about the monsters, it's about the friend you make along the way. But what do you think? Was Frontier a necessary evil? Or did it fundamentally misunderstand the franchise? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.